Okay, let's move along. We've now have our part up and running. We know how it works. We know how its Eclipse IDE works. And now we're going to move to the stage where we're going to introduce some software that runs on the host PC that's going to help us with our tiny machine learning process. So the tiny machine learning process is fairly straightforward. We're going to gather some data. We're going to label that data, and then we're going to train our machine learning model on the data. That's, again, the data that we have that's labeled. It's going to build a model based on that data, and then it's going to build some software that we can then download to our tiny device over here to run that machine learning model based on what we want it to do. So that software that's going to help us with that process is called Deepcraft software. So I'm going to open it up now. So this is Deepcraft Studio. In the past, it's often been uh, the idea of Imagimob Cloud, or Imagimob was the name that was often used. So you may still hear that, but this is the Deepcraft Studio. And what again it's going to let us do is gather data, label the data, train our models on the cloud, and then we're going to be able to take that, turn that into code that we can then send down to our device. So let's do something fairly simple right now. Let's just gather some data. So I'm going to go new project and you give it a minute, and we're going to go to GraphUX generic because we want this empty project. It's pretty much an empty canvas. There's just a little bit there. I'm going to label mine first project and put it in my directory. And I'm going to download the project data. Now it's very small. In fact, it's 0 right now because this is an empty project. In the future, we're going to use some templates and some examples where there's quite a bit of data that's already will be given to us. That's a part of the template project. But for now, this one's going to be pretty much an empty project. So I'm going to hit OK, and it's going to create that project for me. And notice it's over here. It's called First Project. I'm going to just look there. The only really files we have is a README file. This is going to tell me about this project. And again, this is a starter project to start building ML graphs. These graphs are going to be data that we can label and then train with. The main is the canvas that we're going to build those with, and we're not going to use code. We're actually going to use graphical drag and drop kinds of capabilities. Now, you're going to need to come over here and select Node Explorer. This is going to show to you all the possible things that we can drag and drop onto our canvas. There's a bunch of libraries of things that we can drag and drop. What's really important here, notice it should say boards, and then one of the selections below that should be our PSOC 6 AI kit. If it's not shown here, that means the board is not connected. If it is connected to the USB port that's closest to the power button, the problem might be that it needs a firmware upgrade. And so if it does, you're going to need to go to this website, and this website will show you how to flash new firmware onto your PSOC 6 AI kit. Basically, if your board was built before February of 2025, you'll probably need to upgrade that, and you can follow this directly. You're going to need to use the other USB port. So you're going to actually connect your computer through the USB port that's at the bottom of the board, run these steps, and download this code, and it'll upgrade the firmware, and it'll take care of all of the compatibility issues. So that may or may not occur based on the firmware versions you have. Again, if this doesn't appear here, then we have a problem. So there's lots of things we could do. By the way, here's some devices. If we had a local microphone or a local camera or we're capturing data from some serial device, we could bring those in. In fact, we'll show you that a little bit later. But what we want is the microphone on our device. So I'm going to grab that and bring it right over here. So this is the microphone on our device. Notice it knows where it is, knows how everything's set up, everything's correct. Now, additionally, we need a way to look at that data. So I'm going to bring a data track over here, and I'm going to put it right here. So I have my microphone. Notice this is an output. I'm going to take that output and I'm going to put it right in here to the input. So now the microphone is going to come in to a data track. This data track is going to let me record my data. So in order to do that, I'm going to come up here. I'm going to click the play button. And a new window is going to come up. This is my live session. And this is microphone data. And what I can do now is come up here and click on the play button or the record button. Hello, hello, up, down. And notice how it is capturing all that data, and then I can store that data away, and then I can go to the next step, which will be to use a label track to label this data. So we're going to cover that in the next video.